Hey guys, SHADER here, back with another video, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you guys how you can use shaders in your Friday Night Funkin' codename engine mod, since this was requested after the game over. I decided I'm going to go through it now because shaders are in my opinion, nasty piece of work. This isn't a tutorial on how to make a shader, it's how to use them, because I do not know the first thing about making shaders, because shader is a bunch of gobbledygook math to me. So yeah. Essentially, what you're going to want inside your mods folder is you're going to want a data folder with your events in it, which we'll make now in a second, and you want a shaders folder with your frag shader inside. Yep. One of the things you can do is go to Shader Toy, which is a website where a lot of people use shaders, and then you can modify them, or you can, I wouldn't recommend doing this, obviously. You can take shaders from another mod, just credit them, but I don't recommend doing that. I recommend going through this painstaking process of converting it yourself. But yeah, I'm using one from Friday Night Dustin. I'm using Chromatic Warp, because this is a tutorial and it's not going in an actual mod. So yeah, inside of data and events, you're going to want to make your two scripts, because we're going to make an event. So since this is for our Chromatic Warp, we're going to do chrom warp shader .json, and then we're going to want to make our hx file as well. Okay, so inside our JSON, this is relatively the same as structure in a normal codename engine event. So we get our params, we come in here, and then we need to separate into sections. So we're going to do name. This is going to be value to tween 2. So this is going to be your end value for your tween. It's going to be the type of a float, 0, 10, and then 0.1. So you've got minimum value, maximum value, and the step value. The step value is, I don't know, I honestly don't know what step value does. I think it's to do with how much of the value was applied per step in game. And then obviously we're going to need our default value, if I can spell. Our default value, I'm going to make our default value 0. And then we're going to want our next parameter, which is going to be duration of the tween. So this is how long it's going to take to get to max. So yet again, we're going to do type. Inside of here, we're going to do float. Minimum of 0 seconds, obviously, if you want it to be instant. Maximum of 99 seconds, just to get all edge cases in it. And then again, 0.1 for the step. And then our default value, we'll put it 1. That's a good rough number. And now inside of our chrom warp shader, HX, this is going to be a little bit different. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to set up our shader. So we're going to make a variable called chrom warp, and it uses the data type of custom shader. And then we're going to initialize the shader at the top as well. New custom shader, and all this takes is the path of your shader without extensions. And it looks in the shaders folder. So ours would be, I think it's chrom warp. Let me double check. No, it's chromatic warp. Close enough. Chromatic warp. And then we're also going to want another variable called old value. This is going to become clear what it's for later. And now we're going to want to quickly on create, just set our shaders up real quick. So we're going to want to, by default, just set the distortion value to 0. If you want to see what values your shader takes, whether it's been custom made or you've taken it from somewhere, anything outlined at the top, so for example in here it's uniform float distortion, that is the value that you want to modify. So obviously, and then what we want to do is we want to add the shader to one of the cameras in the game. I'm going to do it on cam game because that affects the background and not the HUD. So you do your desired camera dot add shader, and then you put the custom shader inside. And now we're going to move on to our event function. On event, e is the params, and then we're going to do if e.event dot name is equal to the name of our script, so chrome warp shader or whatever you've called your script. Now what we're going to want to do is we are going to want to set the old value. This makes it smoothly tween a little bit nicer and it just helps out. So first thing we're going to want to do is we can either do it either inside of the event or we can do it inside of the function. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do it inside of here because you'd have to modify the parameters if you wanted to do it inside of our function. So all we're going to do is we're literally just going to set the old value to e.event.params 0, and then we're going to go ahead and call our function. So I'm just going to make a shader called tween shader, why the hell not, and then we're going to pass e.event.params 0 and 1. Okay, and then we can go ahead and make our function. So function tween shader, and it's going to take, we're going to have a value called new value. Our new value, which is a float, and then we're going to also do a variable called duration, which is also a float. Now inside of here we're going to be using flx_tween.num because this is for smoothly tweening a numerical value instead of a sprite, since what we're doing is we're going to tween the distortion value inside of our shader. So what we're going to do is how flx_tween.num is situated. It's starting value, end value, duration, ease, and then an optional update function. So obviously our old value is the starting value. Our new value is what we're tweening. Pardon me, is what we're tweening to. And then our duration is how long it's going to take. You can use any FLX ease. Me personally, I just like using cube or quad out. Personally, I think I'll use cube out for this tutorial. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do a onComplete function with a new value called val. This part is quite integral. This is what really helps the shader work. So then what you're going to do is you're going to get your shader. Then you're going to want to do data. The value you want to change, and then the value. So all this does is literally it just gets the distortion value, and you want to do equals val inside of 2 square brackets. Now when we save this, and if I put a semicolon there because it's going to crash otherwise. Okay, so now that we've saved this, we can go ahead and boot up Codename Engine. Then we go into the chart editor. I'll do it on guns. And what we're going to do here is, if we scroll down to where the song starts, I'm just going to put the event here. We're going to tween to 1. It's going to take 1 second to tween. And then we're going to skip down to boyfriend section. And then we're going to tween back to 0, like that. So when I hit enter,
3, 2, 1, go!
Down a little bit more. You will see the shader tweening right before Tankman hits his first note. that's how you make a shader event in a codename engine. Like and subscribe. I want to hit at least 2K subs by the end of this year. Files, the mod or the files or whatever, will be on my Patreon in the description. I'll put it on Game Banana as well. Hopefully it doesn't get taken down again. But yeah, with that said, I'll see you all in the next video. AstroDev, out.